I didn't hit record because I had more to say before I wanted to just record. Because as soon as I start recording, I know I'm recording. Good morning. The channel's open. Now, what I said just a minute ago was, imagine if you were a speaker that could speak, that music is playing through, which you are. You're a universal God speaker. But most of you just don't really internalize that to the point of how true it is. You are an eternal God speaker. Like I said earlier, a school board is what? Like a school of fish on land. Board. Like a board of wood. A meter stick. A teacher. A lesson. You get lessoned. Like a school. And you call it boring when you're bored. School board. Yeah, so schools are just, they're a play on words that actually show you that they're dumbing you down by teaching you to know what they teach you. You're not smart because you listened to somebody for 12 years. You just passed their test by remembering what they said. Boy, that makes us smart people, doesn't it? Not at all. It makes us followers our whole lives. And then when you get out of school, you do what you were taught to do. Not what you want to do, but you were given choices and you picked one. And if these hit you vitally in a spot, people get angry about that. But it shouldn't. It should make them be like, wow. And like we said earlier, when people say, I'm a real nigga. Like, oh my God, a white person said that. I'm not white. Have you ever looked at a color spectrum? And a black person isn't black. The word nigga isn't copywritten by someone with darker shades of skin or lighter shades of skin. Does this make sense? So how could anyone be like, you can't say that word, you ain't one of us? I'm like, is every African American one of you, Mr., nigga? No. And we all know that means ignorant. When you act like one, like when, I'm not even going to get into that whole racial slur because I don't want to get into racial slurs, but I'm just saying that word itself. The only person who would say, I'm a real, or just say like, I'm a real ego. I'm a real ego. First of all, the only person who would say that is someone who doesn't know how fake they're being. You were given a name when you were born, so you're not your name. You developed a body over time, and it wasn't the same yesterday, won't be the same next year. Your attitude will change, your hobbies will change, your friends will change, your family members will die off, you'll get new friends and move to new places, or else you'll sit still and do jack shit. But either one of those things, none of them stay the same, so none of them are real. They're just part of what you consider to be your facts in life, what path you took, your R-E-A-L instead of R-E-E-L. The outside world expressed to you is the real, R-E-E-L. When you watch it on TV, we say real. We say roll the reel. We can say all that kind of stuff. You can say reel and a fish because it came from out there. And after you reeled it in, you caught a real big one. Real big one. The other, you just changed this from E out there to when you reel it in, and now it's real. You caught a real big one. I mean, these words aren't me playing on them. It's just me pointing them out that this is how it's always been. So, do you remember what the other thing I actually wanted to record was? Oh, that your ego isn't you. Because if you walk around thinking you're rough and tough and all the things that matter to you, your family, your friends, your whatever mean something, they don't at all. If you're contributing to your family and friends and your loved ones by going to serve a factory-oriented, manufacturing-driven social economy that is tearing up the world, that is our livingness. We aren't living. Now we're starting to live off of chemicals. Imagine. Okay, since they're killing the world that people need to survive on, what can they do? The ones that can grow themselves healthier foods, which is easily done, which everyone could start doing and giving back to the planet, which is what everyone should be spending all of their time doing. No one should spend any of their time working at a job. They should be spending their time nursing the planet. We are the garden tenders. We are the garden of eating. So we should be tending to the garden, which is the earth itself. Where do we get our breath? By being earth. Be earth. Breathe. Take those two words and see that it's B-E with earth in between. It doesn't matter. They're just be earth is breathe. So if you really think about that, trees, grass, water, moisture, CO2, HO, H2O, doodly-doo, all these things that we breathe, and oxygen and water, these are all just symbols that we gave them. They're words so that we can explain them, but they always work out to be right. Now, How does that make sense if it wasn't meant to be that way? Think nothing was meant to be. But we talked to each other and we knew what each other meant. So as soon as you knew what somebody else meant, does that mean it had already been? Oh. So people that say nothing is meant to be are full of shit, because that would mean that they have never experienced anything being anything. Nothing is meant to be. Oh, well, is a jug of water meant to be a jug of water? No. Then why is it a jug of water? Because we described it as that. We put water in a jug and then we called it that, so we say that's what it means. What's that thing? It's a jug of water. What do you mean by that? That we have a jug with water in it. Oh, so that's what you meant by it? No. Because nothing was meant to be nothing. So people don't even know what the fuck they're talking about when they say stuff like simple little sayings. Nothing was meant to be. Do you know the power of the word actually means everything you say and believe ends up happening? And that's what meant to be means. It's like mint, but EA. It's like what you identify with, but you say out loud. It's your mind, your mentality, your mental ability, mind. People don't say nothing was meant to be. They don't even know that the word meant means the product of your mind. Because MEANT is just a math problem with MIND. It's just a math problem. If you do the multiplication, I can show you how to do it. But it doesn't matter if people, we can break down the word mind and meant by math. That's cool. No, it's not. But when it becomes solid in the real world by our definitions written in books that we need to burn, because if people keep reading them, that's why we need to burn them. If people keep reading them, we need to burn them. If people aren't going to read them unless they're trying to see what they mean and actually interpret the words for what they were supposed to be meant the whole time, we can keep them. But we need to start deleting them off the internet when they're all misspelled by talking about shit that doesn't need to be talked about. All kinds of topics that shouldn't be covered. They're curses on people. People who read headlines about big asses and Botox injections or criminal crimes, faces of death, all these gory things, they need to be deleted. Because the only thing they could possibly do is keep putting those ideas and thoughts in other people's minds. And if people keep having them in their invisible mind, not the one we see out in front of us. There's a physical mind and there's an invisible mind. In the invisible mind, each of us has a part of that. In the visible mind, each of us has a part of that. Each of us can work together on some level to contribute to the physical mind. Each of us can work on some level to contribute to the invisible mind. And each of us can actually contribute on some level to God. But until you actually get the fact that that's always been happening, you'll always be on the lower level of brain frequency. Like when I say that right there, people should wake up and be like, I've never heard anybody say it like that before. There is an invisible mind and a physical mind. There is a higher mind. Wow. No one ever really said it that simply because they always made it sound woo-woo because I was trying to sign up for their course. And if they would have said it right off the bat, people wouldn't have bought anything because they already heard everything they were going to hear. You're going to hear everything you're going to hear from me the first time. But I can always do math with words. Whoopie ding dong. I can do math with just telling you a story about the stars and the moons because I did it. But I don't feel like getting lost in that flow of that motion because it fascinates me that I know so much when I let it go. Like it fascinates Dan that I know so much when I let him let it go. That makes any sense now. But when I'm around other people, I think that they're like, oh, he's a know-it-all. He never stops talking. And I don't know when to stop talking because until people start silencing themselves, I have to teach. There's no one else who has the information right now. They're all teaching the wrong stuff. So when people say, maybe people don't want help. Maybe people don't want that. I'm like, if people really knew the power we possess, it's all people have ever wanted. Like my mom goes, oh, I'm just happy with being who I am and I don't want to. If I could do that kind of stuff, I wouldn't want to. I'm like, Mom, you're doing it right now. You're just doing such a good job at it. You forgot. That's how great some of the masters do that. They're like, I'm going to live a life where I'll never wake up. Ever. Ever. And I'll just go, that makes sense. And I'll be nice and kind. I'm just nice and kind. And I'll be like, well, I'm just a good person and I just do my things and I don't harm anybody. Okay. That's fine. You can play that character. My mom can eat meat. She doesn't think she'll live to be very old. So therefore, that'll be her way out. You know? But in a long time. Or she'll clean it up, and she's actually been cleaning her diet up. And I actually think that my mom and dad are starting to feel a little younger, just in mind. they're lightening up a little bit, which means younger, spirit, lively, light, youth. Like the spirit, the fountain of youth doesn't show up on your face until it shows up in your heart. You know what I mean? When it shows up in your heart, you can grow backwards. You really can. I've done it. And I'm doing it right now, actually. I'm not really allowing myself to grow older. But at the same time, nobody listens to what Dan says. So he gets down on himself. So therefore, his body's like, do you want to stay or do you don't want to stay? So he might die someday. Because how would you feel if you could show everybody their answers, but don't want to? You just want to help them and you want to get them out of the system. My only job as a human being is to get people out of a system of slavery. I can't make people listen to the truth about spirituality, but I can definitely show people that they're living in a system that holds them down. And if we keep teaching our children to do that, we're failing as parents. And I won't pay child support to people who are teaching their children to go along with a system that enslaves them. It's literally what's happening. If you don't believe that you're made go to school by a government, because if you don't, your mom and dad will go to jail, who's in charge here? Who's the parent? Who's parenting the parent? Is the parent's mind of truth and honesty running the parent? Or is the government running the parent in fear? And I'll give you the honest answer that anyone in the American place that we call United States would give you. The government runs us. So therefore, if you allow your children to grow up in that system, that's coward. No military agent that goes fights overseas and comes back and makes his kids listen to the government tyrants, go to school, to grow up and pay taxes, is a hero. Because you're just coming back to tell your kids to be another dog. Like, yeah, I'm going to join a war because I'm a yes sir, I'm a dog. You know, I'm a dog. I'm going to teach my kids to listen to the system. I'll listen to the master. You listen to the system. And if you want to join, you can listen to the master when you get older and put your hand over your head, basically shielding light from your eyes is what saluting means. Do you understand that? That's like saluting. You're covering the light from your eyes. I don't want God's light. You can tell me what to do. Yes, master. Don't hit me. Shit like that. It all echoes throughout time. And I know. When I say it, like, I know because any action takes me, like, if I start, like, getting angry, I remember every time I've been angry. You know, like, in a human life, people can be like, oh, man, I had this one time I got mad. Like, I remember planetary systems crumbling and just weird shit that makes no sense to talk about as a human being. But say somebody who's the biggest character of a motion picture. We watch movies on TV, and it's such an epic ending. Life is more epic than that every second. And like when I'm being honest about how you can embody physical, mental, and emotional states very fast. Like when you awake, like you can do anything. I have felt and experienced the lives of everyone that I've ever heard of. And it's the weirdest thing. And I mean, when I just do the simple things with their names and the whatever, like when we go into the what, like there's things throughout their life that add up to Dan Alexander in everybody's life. Everybody's life. And I tried it with other people's names, not too many, but they don't add up to those people's names. Why is it that so many words have Dan in them? And why is it that so many words that are mixed up have Dan in them? They're Dan mixed up. Like Nelson Mandela, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Nathan Dwayne Hale, Nate Dogg, you know, and it's Nate and then Dogg. So like it's math. You see the D, you see the A and the N, but they're backwards because he's black and I'm white. And it's this weird shit that doesn't make sense to other people until you show them enough of it. I'm like, wow, that's really weird for you. I'm like, but guess what? The same thing's happening with you, but it's different because of your letter combinations. And that's what makes each of us like a big, giant combination lock of spirit wrapped up in flesh, owned by something higher than the word that we call spirit. It's so much bigger than even the word spirit. Hallelujah is a joke if you really understand what God is. Like, that's why I feel bad for people who follow religions, because if that's your idea of the highest of high, boy, you got another thing coming. Boom, 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 boom. That's why if someone kills me, I'm so happy to go if people really don't take me seriously. Because I know how much more we are than floating in the sky with fucking pipers piping, you know. Lords a leaping? Who wants to be the king of a throne? Somebody who grew up on too many Disney movies and thought the hero would be the king? That's not what God is at all. And once you get that, you don't praise stories of heroes. You don't look down on stories of wrongdoing or villains, as we call them. You just say, oh, I understand what that person had to learn. Oh, I understand what that story is supposed to really mean morally. Or you're just supposed to go, yeah, I watched some gore. You see that shit, dude? That was badass. And that's the point we're at right now. And it's the point like that for the people that can see it and go, we need to wake up. And that's what's happening. We're waking up. The door slams on that shit. It says, no more of that. Wake your ass up. Buck. So, till next time, that's all I'm going to say. But I put a lot of valuable stuff in there. Sometimes, like I said, my talks now are just going to be me. I could talk as Dan, if that's what I want to call myself. I could talk as divine energy, the speaker. But this is the last thing I'm going to say because this is what I started with. If a speaker could talk, and it was screaming at the top of its lungs and nobody heard it, it eventually would crack. And eventually that speaker would crack and somebody would hear it. And they'd either go turn it off, a.k.a. kill it, or they'd unplug it. Spirit, a.k.a. take its own spirit. Decide to die or decide to leave. So therefore, sometimes when I see nobody responding to me, I feel like I work out all the time. I eat nothing but healthy. I know that I've cleansed or whatever. And it only hits me when my mind says, you don't even want to be around. And then my stomach will be like, or if I talk about it, or if I drink something and I hear it settling through my organs and moving, it'll make noise out loud and it'll give me the chance to think, is something wrong? Or be like, no, that's just whatever. And as soon as I think, that's just whatever, it goes away. If I think, oh no, is something wrong? That's only going to happen when I don't want to be around. Nobody thinks negative when they're super happy. I'm super happy. Oh, my stomach growled. Oh, must be something negative. My bowels are twisting in knots. No, if you're happy, you're just like, whatever. You might not even notice it because your vibration will overtake that. But if I'm sitting still and I'm bored, so I go get something to drink and I feel it like settle around in my stomach later, I'll think to myself, oh no, is there something wrong? I'm like, You're not associating. You're not. Think about this. That's all water that you don't need in your system. So if you actually take really deep breaths through your nose, but fast, and then go, feel that heat. That's actually more moisture. So you can actually breathe like that for a lengthy period of time and lose weight because you're breathing out steam, which is hot air, which is blowing out hot air, which is getting rid of some of the liquid that your body doesn't need. No one ever told anybody that. I know that. Because I've done it. I've done it as a human being, Dan, and as many others who didn't know how to explain that to people. Like, I don't know why, but it just seems like blah, 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 blah. But if you do it for a long enough time, you can, and you keep going until your stomach goes all the way in and tightens and you get rid of everything. So and at the same time, imagine in your head seeing gray clouds of dust come out that get rid of all your negative thoughts, all your negative energy, all the negative whatever. Give it whatever representation you want it to be. Let it come out as white light going back to white light, or dust matter going down to the earth, or let it go out into the nothingness and disappear as clearness, But if a speaker could speak, it would just keep going till it had, and especially if it was speaking the truth, it would just keep blasting until other people heard it and gathered around it and made sure it didn't crack and enjoyed its music and sang along with its universe, or decided to tell it to shut up until it sings its way off into nothingness and disappears. I'm not trying to say that to be... I'm trying to lighten the fact that when I say I'm not paying anybody no money, not doing this, not doing that, not going to do this, I'm not trying to be a badass. I'm only doing it because it's right for all of us to do that. All of us should be doing that. And that's not my opinion. You should be living life the way you want to live your life. Is that mean of me to say about people? Is that narcissistic? Hey, person, whoever you are, you should throw away your money and live the way you want to live life. But I need money to buy the things I want. Because we've been tucked into such a system that if we don't escape that system, you'll always be a slave to money. So what do you really want? Freedom or merchandise? I don't want merchandise. Merchandise is hurting life. It just is. So if you don't understand that, you'll be stuck in a world of fake nails and plastic body parts, and eventually you'll be a robot. If that's what you want, you won't have any feelings. You won't even know what you want by that time because you're being numbed down already. You don't know what you want now. Your body knows it doesn't want what you're eating. Your body knows it doesn't want what you're watching, but you're doing it now. So you can't say that you have a choice. You're actually killing yourself with your choice. This is why somebody like me has to be brave enough to keep saying it when people don't like it. Because I love you so much that I have to say it. And I sugarcoat it and I make it sound good because guess what? I do love you guys. I love everybody. I do want to give people hugs. I want to gather in big groups and meditate. But I want to get my point across that it's important to take this seriously so that you actually take time not to look outside you and say what needs to be done out there, but to look inside yourself and say what needs to be done in here every day. Every day. Until you have an answer of what you want to be in the world. And then go out and be that. Your decided description of yourself. Your me editation. You edit who you want to be and you go out and you live it. That's what meditation is. Nobody can give you a definition better than that. You edit yourself and you go out and live it. You don't take deep breaths or whatever. That's breathing exercise. You don't hyperventilate and stretch. That's yoga. You don't do any of that stuff. Meditation is me editation. That's all it is. But it's great. Everyone needs to do it. Because if you don't do it, you go out and all you do is you listen to legislation. You let somebody else generate what you do. Legislation. But let you be less. Let you be less than. Let you be less than. No. I love you guys, and that's all I'm going to say. So we're going to work on some stuff today and do some people stuff. I don't know what side the speaker's on, so this may be all muffled, but I don't know. And I wasn't looking at the phone because I'm only in a body. I'm not the body. I'm just in it. And I'm all around it. So, yeah, till next time. Peace.